I recently took a trip to Theodore Roosevelt National Park on my way to Glacier National Park, and I just want to give some of my recommendations for visiting this park. On my way out to Glacier, like I said, Theodore Roosevelt, it was kind of in the middle, coming from Indiana, and I spent a total of about 1.5 days there. And I just want to give you my recommendations and show you some pictures from my visit to encourage you to stop yourself. So first thing about the Theodore Roosevelt National Park, it's in North Dakota, and it's actually divided into two units. So you have the south unit here, which is right along I-94. Then you have the north unit. And I split my time up between those two units based off of kind of my driving and when I got there. And I'm going to go through these photos pretty quick, so, pause them to take a longer look at them if you like. But so on one day I left very early in the morning and I got to Theodore Roosevelt in the afternoon sometime. As you can see from the sun, it's getting kind of low. And I went to the south unit since it was so close to the highway. And so I just went, stopped, and took some pictures. And as you can see here, it's a beautiful view along this road. There was even a prairie dog farm with some prairie dogs running around in their holes and chirping. It was really cool. And then I could only stay so long because one, the sun was setting, and two, there was actually a storm rolling in, and I wanted to get going and get out of that and try to set camp before that storm really set in. And so towards the end of the day, I ventured towards the north unit and I ended up camping at this one campground in this national grassland that actually separates the two units. So if you go back here, so here's the map of the park. We have the south unit here, the north unit here, and actually in between here, there's a national grassland, and there are multiple campgrounds, even shown by the park map here. So here's the north unit. You can see that there's a campground here, there's a campground here, and there were several others along the way in this grassland. So I went, found a campground, and then I decided that the next day I would explore the northern unit since I had some time, but I didn't spend as much time as I would like to in the future to explore this park more because I wanted to get to Glacier National Park. But so the next day I woke up, this is me waking up and coming out of the campground. It was down in this valley with some fog. It was beautiful. And I drove to the north unit again, sites that I was not really expecting because I didn't really know that much about North Dakota. And it was a very pleasant surprise. And going into the park right away at sunrise, I got some bison in the road as I'm driving along. And that's kind of what this video is trying to show you, but not a big deal. And then also I stopped at this little picnic area, whatever, to go to the bathroom, and there were some longhorns coming through the field, and I'm assuming they're wild. And once I did that, I continued on and went to a specific spot to hike the, it's the Capra Kalu trail. It was recommended, and it's not horribly long, 4 miles round trip maybe. And there was some elevation gain, maybe 500 feet, something that, even your less experienced hikers could handle, but this probably be your only hike of the day, that's for sure. But there was definitely some pleasant views along this hike, especially as you got towards the road, which obviously, because of that, you don't have to do the hike. But I do recommend it. It was pretty cool. And that's what some of the pictures I'm going to show you next. And then after that, I continued driving along the Scenic Drive till the very end. And then by the time I got done with that, I had some time. And so I actually came back over to this point here, right near the entrance. I was able to just pull over and I started hiking this Buckhorn Trail. And I did stop at a certain point and turn around just because of time. I wanted to actually go back to the south unit and actually explore it properly and do the Scenic Drive and a little bit of a hike as well. So quite a busy day for me. But nonetheless, it was a great day. Like I said, experienced more bison right next to the road. I even have my bicycle here to allow me to do some bicycling adventures on the road too. It was very fun. And as I hiked through, got to see this beautiful tiger lily, I think is what it is. But it was really fun to hike. It was a bit slippery and muddy and kind of clay. So as you should know with any hike, be prepared to get dirty is what I always say. And yeah, once I got to the top, it was just beautiful views. This area can be sometimes called the Badlands, which kind of similar to the Badlands in South Dakota, but not quite. This definitely had more trees and forest, which I really appreciated. And yeah, just very vibrant colors, very beautiful sights. There's even I forget what river this is. There's a river down there. And at this point, yeah, I'm still hiking, but I'm coming towards the end. And then I started doing the Scenic Drive and just pulling over and taking pictures at spots that were just beautiful with all the colors. Yeah, and then even they have signs too that describe, what's going on. So you can learn about the actual geological features of the park and the animals. And so then by this point now, I'm starting to hike the Buckhorn Trail. So I did the Scenic Drive, came back, decided to go up Buckhorn Trail, and went on this hike. And actually, I got to a certain point and I found these bison that were actually at a watering hole area, and they were a decent distance away, but it was cool. I got this beautiful picture with them there. I hiked a little bit farther up and went to a prairie dog farm, and it even showed it on the map. You can see this trail going up here. And again, they were standing around kind of like in the south unit the day before. They had their little holes, they're chirping, so it was kind of cool just being on top of the hill and them being just being the way they are. It's kind of neat too how it's like a grassland on top, and then but you have these drop-offs and stuff around. So quite a neat area. Again, just flat grass, kind of almost reminds me of what could be possibly something like in Indiana or other states, but then you turn around and you have all these features too. So I was starting to hike back the way I came, and actually along the way I ran into some bison, and they were actually keeping me from really going anywhere farther on the trail because, well, I didn't want to, I wanted to make sure they had plenty of space. I didn't want to get hurt myself. And so I stayed in my space where I was while I let them continue, and I actually took a lot of beautiful photos that I need to print and actually frame. They're really cool. It's just really cool to be that close to those animals. It's one thing when you're in a car, it's another when you're on foot. And so, yeah, I just have a lot of photos of them before they finally started taking off. And then I continued on, and again, there's like a bison sitting back here. It's funny, as I hiked out, I didn't really see any animals, but when I was coming back, I did. So there was even some bison up on these ridges here that I was genuinely surprised. One's there, one's there. And, flowers and all kinds of things. You'll notice in some of these photos, I think there had been like a recent fire in the area. Like, again, some beautiful flowers, but up here, these trees were pretty bare. So I'm not sure exactly when or how or what happened, but just something I did notice. So I'm on my way out, and then I finally head towards the south unit. So now, again, I've done the Capra Trail, and then I did the Buckhorn Trail, and I found these recommendations off of All Trails. I always try to use that site and app. It's a great way to find resources. Then I went back to the south unit now, and this is all the same day. I went to this Painted Canyon Visitor Center to take some pictures and just kind of get a view. And then I went and did the Scenic Drive. But before I did the Scenic Drive, I did do this hike down Jones Creek Trail, which I thought was okay. It's pretty flat, so I mean, you didn't have too much elevation gain, but in terms of sights, I definitely preferred what I did in the North Unit more. I like getting up above things and seeing things. So, but that'll be pretty much the rest of the photos. So, again, going back on the drive, the prairie dogs, and then this is the hike down Jones Creek. Again, it was pretty cool to be in. It's kind of like a valley. I even found a bison carcass in a river, and yeah, I know some people look at this water and say gross. I did too. I think it's just because of the clay in the ground that it looks that color. But you definitely wouldn't want to drink that water without filtering or boiling it. And then so as I'm continuing along, I actually ran into a bunch of bison on the south unit. They were actually kind of holding up traffic. I want to say, yeah, they were in this area here along Jules Creek. And so experienced the bison, and I experienced some wild horses too. That's what these are. And again, just beautiful views as the sun set. There was a deer down here feeding her fawn, and I was able to spot that as I was hiking down like a little trail off the road that was the other thing too. As I went, I was kind of looking like, okay, let me go try this. Let me go check this lookout out and this Biocourt Trail. And I think that was near the Biocourt Trail. And like I said, as I drive, I just would take photos and just see what's out there. Again, more wild horses, and just beautiful views. And then this is on top of, I'm pretty confident it was Buck Hill, and I got it right at sunset, so I'm really proud of that view. But yeah, Buck Hill right here. And then I did go and do some of these other drives. I could only go so far. The road was actually closed at some point, so I did have to turn around and head back. But and then the next day I was heading to Glacier National Park, so I was limited by what I could do, but I was happy that I stopped and got to see, again, beautiful views and sights. And then yeah, the next day, like I said, I started heading to Glacier National Park, so that's in Great Falls, Montana, and here's the south side of Glacier National Park. So, but overall, like I said, I definitely recommend this park. You know, give yourself a day, 2 days. Definitely, I would say 2 days if you can, maybe 3. I know I want to go back and I want to explore some of these other trails and hike them in the south unit, like in this wilderness area, as well as go back up in the north unit and hike into these hills here, doing this long trail for the day. Whenever you're going to go hike, just know your level, know what you can do. I'm a bit extreme with how I hike, so don't push yourself beyond what you know you can do. But yeah, as far as that goes, I definitely recommend, you know, the trails I did, they were great, but also just driving through isn't bad either. If you want to see animals, usually, but not always, but usually, you know, early morning, late afternoon is the best time. But I did see, again, some of those bison midday as I was hiking, and then some of the other animals towards the end of the day. So, but do some more research yourself, talk to some rangers, get a feel for what you can do in a certain time frame and what you want to do. Again, even if you're passing through and like you don't have that much time, I definitely recommend taking the time just to do the scenic drive and checking this park out. So thank you, and I hope this is helpful.